This week on Poker After Dark, it's a $100,000 buy-in cash game.
I am so steamy right now. I just want to ship it.
And there'll be no shortage of table talk.
John Robert's my best friend. He's the only guy that could have a $8,000 bankroll. We're starting the 2-400 game over here at the Aria. Bankroll 8,000, and they all run down.
Sitting down at a poker table takes courage, especially in a tough lineup. The money's on the table. Come and get it. Deal. The game's not just about playing well and picking up a few hands. You can't let your mood rise and fall with your stack. Two cowboys. Big hands can look invincible, but you can never drop your guard because the highs and lows of the game can crush souls. Uh-oh, trouble. Sometimes they have the one hand you don't want to see. So sick. You can make all the right decisions and still lose. Just another cold deck. Nice hand, sir. Wow, wow, wow. Wait a sec. Now you're counting his chips. Everything okay now? But don't count too high, because there's still one card to come, and it can be equally as cruel. That's sick. Ugh, so sick. Ship it. Some people just never lose. It's a hard way to make an easy living. That's poker, folks.
Welcome to NBC's Poker After Dark. I'm Leanne Tweeden. If you're interested in watching a cash game with a colorful cast of characters, stick around for the next week of shows. You won't be disappointed. Each player bought in for at least $100K, and they're ready to play our cash game. Mike Matusow, Jean-Robert Bellande, Peter Jetton, Brandon Adams, Chris Ferguson, and Michael Mizrachi. Let's get the cards in the air.
We're playing 2 and 400 with a $300 ante in the big blind. Let's get a look at the buy-ins. Almost everybody thought 100 grand was enough, but Brandon Adams wanted to be the big stack, so he made an extra 15K investment. He'll be on the button to start the night off. That makes Mike Matusow first to act.
If you make it the bracelet winners, though, then you're like adding a lot of stigma to like winning a bracelet. It's
right.
Like then you're like in this club.
Prestige. You get into the exclusive club of bracelet owners, and once you're in that club, you're invited to Tournament of Champions forever. That's how it should be. Put a $5,000 buy-in with it, and then have Harris throw in $1 million addition. They can make it for a lot of people. That's fine, but it's going to be a bunch of names.
1,100 total.
That is the best way. $5,000 added, $5,000 buy-in, and then $1 million added by Harris and ESPN, whatever.
I don't mind, because this year I got one.
And that way, every time, now when you win a bracelet, now you're in that exclusive club and you're in it for life. And I'm not a bracelet owner yet, so I mean, I'm talking, I'm helping exclude myself.
Loose raise by Matusow to kick the evening off as he picks up the blinds.
If I had my way, I would allow people that got second in tournaments also.
Nice.
I think
I'd be in that club.
You're in for that, right?
Yeah. Well, you don't have a bracelet. Do you have a bracelet, John? I don't know.
No, I have a second place. He said that's what he said.
Yeah.
Let the second place.
We have a bunch of second place.
Yeah.
I just think this year, there's a tournament chance for that year. You have 55 bracelet winners, and you might only have like 50 plus people who got. I just think that it should be about 100 people tournament, and you're going to have a lot of big name players, man.
What about the circuit tour?
But they did. They had a qualifier last year.
You got second in an 08 event, Brandon?
Yeah, but I already had a bracelet.
No, this year.
You got second in stud. Stud high?
Yeah.
Stud high, yeah.
Shockingly.
Just his worst game ever.
Frank Casella?
Shockingly. No, I lost him in.
1,100 total.
Oh, right.
Well, he's the best stud player around there in the tournaments there is.
He does play well in tournaments.
He's amazing. I mean, I give the guy credit. Men the Master is an amazing stud tournament player.
Yeah,
He's an amazing tournament player, period. No, I think he's a great player, tournament player.
I don't know about his cash game, but in tournaments,
He's a very good tournament player.
in tournaments he knows like exactly when you don't want pressure put on you, and he'll put a lot of pressure on you at that moment. He's tough.
If he just,
Sometimes he's just willing to flip for it.
know everyone's good.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Everybody is
That
good.
makes a good tournament player.
No, he's referring to the idea that that Min was quite tired when we were playing heads up, and I had maybe 1/7 the chips that he had, and I had a queen showing and he had a 10 showing, and he said, "Why don't we just stick it in?" So we stuck it in, and then ran
Without
it
looking at the whole cards.
without looking at the whole cards. And 100% he didn't look at the whole cards. He had like queen 5-10, and he won.
Yeah.
Well, I had I hit a pair of queens on 4th Street, so I had him crushed. Like he had the queen 10 5 7, and I had 2 queens on 4th, and then he had runner 2 pair.
Matiso inadvertently flashing the king of spades, probably not Balan's favorite card to see. As he defends his big blind, flops air and checks against Peter Jetton.
It's Ivy's best game. Well, maybe not anymore.
Jetton raised under the gun with 10-6 off suit.
Hold on, it's probably his best game now. It used to be his best game.
What's his worst game?
Oh my, 8 or better.
Gosh, I could have saved $1,000.
Craps.
I threw in that. The king got turned over right after I threw in my 1,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah, otherwise, of course I'm not.
Yeah, you're not
going to
call it that hand. Yeah.
Jetton takes the pot with a c-bet.
At least you knew.
Is this button right? Wasn't I just got a small blind? Yeah.
Min's style had me basically playing for second in the stud tournament.
Is he just put a lot of pressure with the up cards? Or?
Yeah, because he was one to my left, and I thought that the right strategy was to open a lot of pots given the composition of the table. But when I tried that strategy, he would just raise me light.
Yeah.
And he would make you go to the end, and you could only do that twice.
Yeah, you got to play. You have to play. You had the wrong strategy against it. Your best way was to let him like win antes, small antes.
And he had a much better. He had a much deeper stack. He was much deeper.
He was a little bit deeper. So I just
Still hard, no matter.
I just calmed down and let him contest the pots.
Right.
And that meant that when we got heads up, I was at a 2-1 deficit. And
great.
yeah.
That's great.
Well, obviously I ran good to be able to get heads up.
Skill in stud tournaments. I mean, Richard Ashby won the stud tournament. there can't be anybody that plays worse stud than he does. It's like probably the worst game of all time.
Jetton's 5 still good against Mizrachi's 7-4 suited on the flop of 10-9-3. Both players check. And the board pairs with a 9 on the turn.
Unbelievable.
No way.
1500 stud. It was like 07 or 08.
I don't think Richard Ashby is that bad at stud.
This is by far his worst game.
That might be his worst game, but he's not a bad stud player.
Both players check a second time, and now Jetton gets counterfeited on the river. 7 high is actually the best hand.
And you have kings every single time, and he'll show you the straight 9 almost every time.
Check.
I think Richard is a unfriggin' believable pot limit Omaha player.
It's a real bad river for me.
I think he's a really good pot limit.
Mizrachi fires what he thinks is a bluff, but happens to have been the best hand, and he takes his first pot of the night. Well, if the starting hands are any indication, we should be seeing plenty of action in this session. Welcome back to Aria for more of NBC's Poker After Dark, the cash game.
Yeah, remember the whole...
The year before you mean?
Yeah, I meant...
When he got locked out.
09.
Is that what you're talking about? You got locked. Everybody, those people got locked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ferguson goes back into poker mode to look at his hand.
It's always nice to have bigger, as big tournaments as possible.
I would have locked everybody out too.
Which makes you feel worse, getting locked out or losing on the first hand?
Well, yeah, then you wish you got locked out. Right?
I'll tell you what. Give Harris credit this year. They did what they should have done. They capped each field at a certain 1,000 a day and let all the field every day fill up before they allowed more people in. And that's the right way to do it. They let it into the poker player's hand, and this time they said, you know what, that didn't work. We can't do that.
They really should have let people enter late. I mean, they
had nowhere to put them.
No, people get knocked out. People get knocked out for 10 hours. If you get knocked out an hour 10 and there's an open seat, let a guy buy in.
Grinder suited connector not looking quite so good anymore after a smooth call from Jetton and a re-raise from Adams Kings.
You might be right.
I like that.
I'm a big I'm real against.
Try telling that to Michael, however, as he makes the call for an extra 3,300.
I mean, that's really ridiculous, especially at the World Series this year. They start the blind so small.
Well, that's ridiculous, too. Why was 30,000 chips starting 50 and 100?
And the reason is a lot of people, in Harris' mind, they want people to get a lot of play. They want people,
for their 10,000 buy-in, they want to give them.
Well, we're not talking necessarily about the main event here. I mean, I kind of with you when the main event you should start on.
Jetton somehow flops an overpair and checks it.
That's a world championship. It's a little bit different. But for all,
He's also got a gut shot straight draw. It'll be no good, however, if the 5 rolls off. That would give Grinder a 7 high straight.
They start small because they think that people want to come to the World Series and maybe play one event, and they want to get them a really good experience. They don't want them out in the first hour, like they used to have.
Matt Stafford started with 30,000 in chips recently. I think it was 30 or 40, and he started 1 and 200 blind with a quarter ante. I guess was at Foxwoods, and there was a lot of talk about it. This is last week, or not last week, but whenever it was recently.
30,000 in chips and what?
He started 1 and 2 with a quarter ante, and there was a lot of people didn't like it. But he tried to.
That's big.
Yeah, but he wanted to start the big because he wants a lot of play for late. He wants 3 days of play. He doesn't want the shoving at the ends. He wants everybody that gets
That's
down.
That's not that bad. You have over 100. I mean, you have 150. What's wrong with that?
He might even started with 50,000 with a 1 and 2, but he started with a 1 and 2 with a quarter ante instead of like what they've been starting real small.
Right.
And in this way,
another 2 levels.
He added like more than 2 levels, I think. And he forces people to be there. He wants people to be there on time. He wants people to show up on time. So they lose some chips.
Grinder reluctantly mucks. Back over to Peter Jetton.
I think
it's a double punishment to lose chips.
Listen,
and you
man,
can't
the
start.
tournament starts at 12 o'clock on a day. You don't show up 2 and a half days later and can buy in. That's just sorry.
Well, we're not talking about 2.5 days. I mean.
Oh wait a minute, we have a big chip pot going here. Never mind. Be quiet.
Jetton calls, pot up to 27.5. Board pairs on the turn. Not going to make it any easier for Peter to fold as he checks a second time. And Brandon checks behind him with the 2 kings, perhaps wanting to keep the pot small. Seven rolls off on the end. Peter checks a third time. Brandon feeling a little bit more comfortable at this point, bets 15,000. This could look like a bluff to Peter Jetton. Not a whole lot of players out there that would check behind on the turn with a big hand. Brandon's line could very well look like a big ace. But Peter might expect a big ace to check in position on the river with showdown value. Peter makes the right laydown.
2 jacks.
I call.
Huh?
I call.
Send 15,000 to Brandon then, JRB.
We were talking the other day that for like a 20% premium, after the guy folds, anybody at the table, it should go from like left to right, whatever, should have the option to pay a 20% premium to make a call.
I'll commit. I'll commit right now.
Right now?
No, I won't commit to that.
I bet you that's a losing proposition.
I won't commit to
I'd
that.
have to go for that.
Huh?
I think I'd have to go for that.
You got to go for it. Now, once the guy folds, then it goes all the way around the table, and everybody has the option to pay 20% more than what he would have had to call.
Oh, no, I wouldn't commit.
So you could pay 18K?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just an option.
After you fade his laydown.
If they think that
You were offering the option.
think he's
Like,
bluffing?
I'm offering the option.
To call with his cards,
guess, yeah.
a sight unseen. Like we don't even know
that'd be
what
awesome.
his cards were.
that'd be cool.
In fact, he could be his
You got to
buddy.
see his cards.
That'd be cool.
He could have 0 and just like.
That's a pretty good idea.
Place them.
That's a pretty good idea.
You call with their cards.
It's harder to bluff in that
Sight
game.
unseen.
For 1,000. I'll show you any hand today for 1,000. In
Really?
any situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
If all you do is
1,100 total.
saving.
I would have liked to have known that a few minutes ago.
The mouth pops it with queen 10
He'll
off.
tell you
Do like a bidding war.
right now.
How about a bidding war position?
He'll just tell you.
He'll say something.
He'll say for 400 or he'll show for 1,000.
Yeah.
Picks up the blinds for a second time on the night.
I'm not gonna lie. I'll show any hand you guys want to see today for $200.
I guess you only make 200 because you're only playing aces. So